tiene el penacho más verde, y es que pasa un torrente como vuelve tocororo.
Welcome, everyone, to Water Drops Live. This is Living Waters for the World's monthly online gathering with members of our community, where we share with one another all of the things that we are learning together. I'm really glad that you all are with us, and I'm especially glad to have Robert and Emily with us today, supporting us from the back stage, and Doug Deppies, who is always our co-host. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kendall. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. I am so excited to share this conversation. First, I want to say, if there's anyone here who is new to Living Waters for the World, LWW is a nonprofit organization, and we have been around now for many years. We have more than 1,100 water partnerships in 28 countries. And we believe that everyone deserves access to purified water. No one should have to drink contaminated water. So we focus on that. We're very much based in relationships, so everything happens through partnerships. We train churches, Rotary clubs, other civic groups to come alongside a community partner who they have water, but it's contaminated. And so that community partner is then going to provide not just purified water, but also health education to the people in their neighborhood. And it all happens through relationships, those commitments that we have with one another. And so we're going to hear from about some of that today. As always, we have very special guests on Water Drops Live. And a few days ago, Doug and I got to sit down with some of our Living Waters for the World network staff. And you've heard from network staff before on Water Drops Live. Doug, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about that conversation and maybe how that discussion felt for you.
Yeah, it was definitely a special conversation for a bunch of different things. One, the conversation with our in-country staff in the network of Cuba. For those that know, Cuba's a bit different, and there's some complications there. And so that's one of the reasons, we have Water Drops Live. We're live right now, but we're going to want to record it because we can't always trust Cuban internet to be able to allow us to do something like this. So we were able to do that. But it was a super special conversation with Yosmel and Moraima, who are in-country staff there in Cuba, and just talking about the history. We're going to hear about how long Living Waters is working in Cuba. It's been a while there. And then also kind of what's going on right now and their hopes and futures for the network. They got to share some amazing stories of us with the power of water and what water really means to the communities there in Cuba. So yeah, it was a really special time, and we're really excited to share that with everyone today.
Oh, I can't wait. Stories give us hope, and hope comes in community with one another. And so you're going to hear a lot about that today. So let's get ready to go over to our recorded conversation that we had with Moraima and Yosmel. We're very much looking forward to sharing that with you all.
For calling this meeting.
Gracias.
So today we just wanted to hear from you all how things are going for Living Waters for the World in Cuba. Maybe you could tell us a little bit. We'll start there. A bit of an overview, some history of how we got to this point.
Cuba está cumpliendo 15 años de sostenidamente estar instalando y funcionando nuestras 67 instalaciones en diferentes comunidades. Estas instalaciones han pasado a ser el centro de la vida social, espiritual, de salud de todos estos lugares, y realmente ha significado una solidaridad y un apoyo entre las personas que ofrecen el agua y las personas que reciben el agua.
That's awesome. 67 systems. That's a lot of clean water. You mentioned that they're the center of social life and spiritual life. How does that look for people in the communities that get waters from those sites? How has that become the center of of life of a community.
Las instalaciones de agua son una dedicación, es una vocación. Y todo el mundo necesita el agua todo el tiempo. Entonces se crea una comunicación afectiva, de conocimiento entre todas las personas que están involucradas en este proceso. Hay testimonios muy lindos de personas que han curado su salud tomando el agua. Otras personas que, por ejemplo, las personas mayores, que casi siempre se les recoge el pomo de agua para lavarlo, para limpiarlo, cuando regresan a recogerlo no los reconocen y se sienten muy cuidados, muy contentos. Han sido experiencias maravillosas las que nosotros tenemos.
How did the first systems become installed? How did Living Waters begin to work in Cuba? So start back from those early days in Cuba. What was that like?
Aguas Vivas para el Mundo comenzó en Cuba en el 2009, en el año 2009. Y la primera instalación la hicimos en el Seminario Evangélico de Teología de Matanzas por Jerry y Bernice Gude. Y a partir de ese momento no hemos parado. Entonces estamos en cerca de 12 provincias, en hospitales, en instituciones, en iglesias, instituciones cristianas y todo tipo de denominación. Entonces ha sido una labor muy inclusiva en nuestro país.
Yeah, first of all, we have, the dedication and support of amazing initiating partners who have accompanied us all throughout these 15 years. And we have installed in churches, in schools, in hospitals, in different places, in nursing homes, in orphanages. So we have been able to cover and protect the least of these, the orphans, the sick, the elderly people. So we're proud of the work we have been doing in Cuba in the last 15 years. And we are planning to continue that work into the future.
I think one of the most beautiful parts of our work together in Cuba, we are side by side, and I love how ecumenical it is, how we work with all different kinds of churches. And I think that is a strength for us on our side, for there in Cuba, and us together as well.
Aguas Vivas para el Mundo en Cuba está en todas partes. Nosotros, el gran objetivo es servir. Y cuando servimos, vamos a los lugares más necesitados. No importa cuál sea su creencia, su denominación, su doctrina. Vamos a los que lo necesitan. Y somos muchos los que necesitamos esa agua de vida. Entonces, necesitamos que muchos amigos instaladores vengan a Cuba y continúen en esta gran fiesta. La instalación de agua purificada es para nosotros una fiesta.
Could you guys talk a bit about kind of what Cuba, the needs of Cuba for clean water at this moment now and 15 years ago? Kind of what is the context? What is the reality that the Cuban people are living right now? And why do they need clean water?
Yeah, the need for clean water, for drinking water has increased. It is not a secret that Cuba is now experiencing one of the most or deepest crises in the history of our country. We have a very old infrastructure in the water supply system. That means that the water gets contaminated very often with sewer and rainwater because there's no constant supply. So there's no pressure 24/7 in the pipelines. So therefore, when there's no water in the pipeline, there is suction, and all the dirt, the dirty water, the sewer is introduced into the pipeline. And when you have pressure packing the pipeline, all this bad water contaminates the good water that is maybe purified at the source or disinfected at the source. But by the time it gets to your house, it's contaminated with that bad water that is introduced into the pipeline along the way, right? So therefore, the need has increased. We also have shortages of water. We have been experiencing serious droughts in the last 10 years. So therefore, there's higher demand of water. And of course, a greater need of systems, new installations in new places, in new churches and towns and hospitals and schools. So therefore, we are looking forward to increase the number of systems in Cuba into the future.
Hay momentos cuando hay huracanes, cuando la pandemia de la COVID, que las instalaciones de agua cobran una dimensión mayor. Hemos tenido algunos pequeños lugares con cólera y el agua purificada se ha recetado por los médicos. En los métodos ponen ir a buscar el agua a la iglesia o al hospital. Entonces, realmente es algo, nosotros tenemos muchos huracanes, estamos en el Caribe y siempre el agua es una base de apoyo para después que pase el huracán. Nos ayuda muchísimo en todo sentido, en la vida normal y en los momentos de problemas meteorológicos o de cualquier otro tipo.
Yeah, in the same line, Cuba is now facing a very deep energy crisis. So there's a shortage of energy, so therefore people are not able to boil the water to disinfect it or even have water supply at their houses, at their homes, because there's no electricity. So therefore the systems are helping the people in the communities to have access to quality water, purified water that can be used for many things, including, drinking, cooking, taking care of the babies, and of course, brushing your teeth. So therefore, the energy crisis is causing that the Cubans have less access to purified or at least disinfected water because they cannot boil the water. Therefore, the systems have come to provide what the people need in terms of purified water or quality water.
Pero nuestra red no se detiene. Nosotros estamos apoyando un grupo que está investigando el uso de la energía solar. Eso es algo tan importante para nosotros. A nosotros nos sobra el sol. Entonces, poder usarlo para purificar el agua, que el medio ambiente esté mucho más limpio, menos descontaminado, que el mañana sea un mañana con una energía buena para los seres vivos, para la creación. Eso es algo maravilloso. Y ya Aguas Vivas para el Mundo en Cuba está haciendo todos los estudios para instalar paneles solares que puedan, sin ninguna interrupción eléctrica, purificar el agua.
And of course, the use of this solar energy will provide enough electricity to run the system, but also to help community people to charge their phones, for example, among other things. So Cuba has, as Moraima said, plenty of sun. We have a lot of sunlight. In any country, the hours that you can use solar is as an average 6 hours. In Cuba, we have more than 8 hours during the day in which we can use solar, which means that we have plenty of this renewable source of energy. Of course, the network is working in the organization of a pilot project to test for solar in Cuba, and we hope that we are going to be able to install different, panels to supply electricity, especially to those systems that are located in the most rural areas, which are the most affected by the rolling blackouts. We're talking about 8 to 10 hours of rolling blackouts. Operators are making a huge effort. They are waking up very, very late at night or very early in the morning to purify the water, to have a batch of water, purified water ready in the morning so that people in the communities can have access to this clean water when they wake up. So they're making a huge effort, a huge sacrifice, running the systems late at night or early in the morning. And of course, the use of solar will provide some, will make their work easier in some extent.
Hay también otra buena noticia. nosotros estamos traduciendo los estudios bíblicos que tienen como centro el tema del agua. Esto es muy importante. Sin la educación, el agua purificada no llega y no se usa tal y como está previsto. La educación es fundamental para el uso del agua, para la limpieza de las botellas, para que sepan la importancia que tiene el agua en nuestras vidas. Entonces, los nuevos socios instaladores que vengan a trabajar a Cuba podrán tener estos estudios bíblicos en español para poderlos transmitir a los distintos lugares donde ellos instalen.
Glad that you all are piloting solar. I know that this is a big undertaking, but that's how we learn. That's how the whole network has gotten built. And we're grateful to have such resourceful, dedicated partners as well, who are just figuring it out, rolling blackouts or water shortages. All we can say is thank you, thank you, thank you.
Moraima, I really want to see one of those doctor prescriptions about clean water and the doctor telling them to go to the water system. That'd be awesome to see. I know years ago when I got to visit, we visited the community of Queens, and they had a cholera outbreak years ago. And it's impressive to see what clean water does for them. And the pastor told the story. They had deaths in the community, and then they had a clean water site, and they got rid of cholera, and people are healthy once again. And it's in the end, it's a fairly simple solution to a big problem, just getting people clean water. So that's impressive.
So maybe we can also talk a little bit about the warehouse that we have in Havana City. Thanks to the initiating partners, we have been able to set aside a small warehouse with some parts and pieces that are used as supplies that we provide to the operating partners here. The churches or the locations that have a system in Cuba. So we are encouraging initiating partners to use our warehouse. We have plenty of parts, and of course we all use these parts as part of the sustainability business that we conduct in Cuba. So every time we visit a place, we take parts with us, we take filters, we take new pumps. We're talking about systems that were installed more than 10 years ago, and they have been using the same pump for more than 10 years. And of course, we are seeing that all these old pumps are starting to break. So that's why we are using the supplies that we have in the warehouse, and we are, of course, replacing the parts that are getting old. We also have some spare UV lamps, for the old ozonator, the 4-lamp ozonator. And we have a lot of things that we use in our sustainability visits to our partners in Cuba. So the warehouse has been, essential, crucial to the success of the sustainability of living waters in Cuba in the last maybe, 5 or 6 years.
Hay algo muy apreciable en la filosofía de Aguas Vivas para el Mundo, y es la unidad humana de las personas que vienen a instalar con las iglesias que estamos aquí. Prácticamente es una hermandad que dura para siempre, porque las personas que instalan, que vienen desde los Estados Unidos, con las que están aquí en Cuba, quedan siempre unidas por la información, por el cariño, por el apoyo. Entonces, el agua purificada va más allá del agua. Es un agua que nutre también la vida, las almas, el sentido de muchas personas en Cuba.
I would love to hear, because we always talk about, we say in English, Cuba is a different animal. And so like Yosmel, you're talking about that, the warehouse is so essential. We can't get parts to Cuba easily, like some other networks. There's a lot of different things. Moraima, can you talk a little bit more about some of the things we have to do in Cuba that are different? I know you work with the Ministry of Religion to get visas and that kind of stuff that we don't have to do that. When people come to here in Mexico, you buy a flight, you come on down, and that's it. But I know that working in Cuba is a bit different. And can you talk a little about that and the kind of the organization and the relationship that you've created to allow Living Waters to work properly in Cuba?
Sí, nosotros tenemos que solicitar visa, pero somos diferentes porque todas las dificultades las vencemos. Desde que empezamos a coordinar los grupos, empezamos a conocernos, a entendernos, a intercambiar, a confiar unos con los otros. Entonces, lo que nos hace diferente es lo maravilloso que es encontrarnos, que las delegaciones vengan sin ninguna dificultad. Ese es el reto. Y que cuando estén aquí también conozcan de nuestra cultura, de nuestra vida, de nuestras iglesias. Entonces, las cosas que pueden ser una dificultad, las hacemos mucho más eficientes y todo el que viene repite y se siente muy contento y nosotros también.
We appreciate all of the support that we get. My team works in Cuba, and so we were just with you all recently, and we are always in good hands and feel very welcomed and well cared for when we are in Cuba. We have a lot of new teams who are starting to work in Cuba. We're very excited about that, especially since it's such a strong network, and our teams are well supported, whether they have a sister church relationship there and maybe they're adding water to it, or they're just starting fresh with a water partnership. I'm wondering if there's anything that either you, Yosmel, or you, Moraima, would say to a church who is thinking about getting involved with Living Waters for the World and perhaps focusing in Cuba.
Sí, podemos decirle que aquí estamos con los brazos abiertos, que se van a encontrar personas muy agradecidas y muy sensibles y que estamos con dificultades, pero con mucha esperanza. Entonces, hacemos de la instalación de agua purificada el centro de nuestras vidas. Y es muy reconfortante para los socios iniciadores, porque pueden ver los efectos inmediatamente de amor, de aprecio, de la calidad del agua que vamos a tener, y ellos enseguida se sienten estimulados a seguir ayudando.
Yeah, Cuba is a different good animal. So we are a different and a good animal, right? So so basically the network has strengthened the work thanks to all the members of the network. We have been able to make our work very efficient, and as Kendall said, teams, they feel protected, they feel welcome, and there's one thing that they all experience, and this is transformation. So when teams come down to Cuba, they leave Cuba transformed. They transform their lives in Cuba because of their witness of the good work and the impact that these systems of living waters are causing for the Cuban, and all the positive benefits that they are bringing to Cuba. So transformation is also part of the work of Living Waters for the World in Cuba, not only for the initiating partners, but also for the operating partners and for the network as well. We have all been transformed along the way in many ways.
Yes, we're different people. That's what we love to say, is that it's not only the water that is transformed, but we too are changed. We are different people. And it's always a blessing to be with you all. I wonder if either of you have maybe a story that you would like to share from a particular partnership. I know that there are so many now, 67, 68, almost coming up on 70 very soon. I wonder if there's something that's kind of stands out for you.
Sí, para nosotros es impactante ver cómo las personas que se empiezan a relacionar con la instalación de agua van más allá del agua misma. O sea, casi siempre se hacen filas. En las filas, pues van conversando sus asuntos, sus preocupaciones, y sobre todo las personas de la tercera edad. Entonces, fue muy curioso en una iglesia que la pastora sintió que las botellas no estaban lo suficientemente limpias y le dijo, bueno, ustedes me van a traer la botella hoy y mañana yo se las devuelvo llenas. y cuando las personas de la tercera edad vieron sus botellas, no las reconocían. Creían que eran de otro porque estaban demasiado limpias. Pero fue una lección que no olvidaron nunca más y realmente esa es la parte educativa de la instalación que nosotros insistimos tanto para que esa agua llegue verdaderamente limpia y purificada a las personas. La otra experiencia muy, muy fuerte fue cuando el cólera, que sobre todo en la ciudad de Cárdenas, en aquel momento no había acueducto todavía, estaba bien difícil la situación y como nosotros tenemos una historia que es la iglesia del fuerte que se convirtió en puente, porque empezamos a purificar mucha más agua para darle a toda esa población enferma y con problemas digestivos y cómo logramos que en unos pocos días ya esa enfermedad se fuera de ese lugar. Entonces, son experiencias tremendas, sobre todo personas enfermas, personas que tienen problemas gastrointestinales y vienen a buscar el agua y nos cuentan cómo sus familiares, cómo su madre o su esposo o su hermana ha resuelto tomando esa agua, cómo su vida ha cambiado, cómo su salud es otra. Entonces, francamente, son historias que nos hacen seguir cada día más esforzándonos para que la red tenga más instalaciones y la red se mantenga en Cuba. Y gracias por todo el apoyo que ustedes nos dan.
I remember being at a meeting, my goodness, this might have been over 10 years ago, and someone in Havana, we were there in Havana, and someone around the table said that perhaps the water is going to be the bridge over this wall that we have built between ourselves. It's going to break down the wall. And I've never forgotten that. It's the way over the barrier, because the barriers are self-imposed. They are not from God. We are supposed to be together and nothing between us. And I think that our partnerships are that. So thank you for sharing that, Moraima. And Yosmel, I'd love to hear a story from you as well.
Yes, another moving story is about an installation that we have at a children's hospital in Metances. At the beginning, we only thought about installing a filling station at the hospital, and that was it. But as we were installing the system, we realized that the system was located on the roof of the hospital, and there was a place or looks like a tunnel. Like it goes down all the way down to, it's like a ventilation space, connecting all different floors of the hospital. So as we were installing the system, we realized that we could run a clean water pipeline to every single floor of the hospital. So we were able to install or to provide clean water to the hospitalization wards of the hospital, that was the third floor, to the ICU, that was on the second floor, and also to the milk bank of the hospital. So all these, indispensable places, all the wards, the ICU, the laboratory, and the milk bank were supplied with clean water. And that was very, very, touching, seeing that beyond what we have thought initially, we could expand, and we expanded, and we were able to provide more water and to more places that we didn't, think about before. So as we were installing, I think God gave us, He showed the way. He said you should install, all these pipelines, and it was natural. It was just under the system, and we had this ventilation space that connected all different floors just under the clean water tank. So that's how we came up with this idea of bringing or taking this clean water to every single floor of the hospital. It's very, very, very touching. And seeing the smiles of the children, yes, that's all that we need. That's very moving and inspiring. So seeing the face of God in all these children that now have access to clean and purified water.
For sure. And I was a part of that install. That was a really special install. And I think what it goes back to what Yosmel was saying at the start with the energy crisis as well. This is a hospital. When you think of a hospital, you've got to have clean water. Especially when it's children, there's babies in the ICU. They definitely have to have clean water. And in a sense, they did, but they were actually sterilizing the water. So they had to use steam power, which uses using diesel at that point. But that's a resource they had to use that they didn't have always. And so they were able to not be dependent on that fuel anymore to produce clean water and then have clean water for everyone. Before clean water or sterilized water that they're using was a very, very scarce resource. It was only used in like very specific cases. But by now installing this clean water system, they were able to have, I don't know if I want to say an abundance of water, but they have water for what they needed. They had water for drinking. They had water for everything. And again, that's just a huge game changer for everything with a fairly simple solution.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The use of clean water in every place, has helped the community to understand and to overcome all these challenges. The shortages of fuel, electricity, even food, as people are now facing a lot of shortages, the fact that they have safe, purified water for free, it's very, makes them think different, they think differently because at least they have a resource that is essential for human life at the reach of their hands. And of course, provided with dedication and love by our operators and also with the support of our initiating partners in the U.S. So we thank you for all your support and for all the help that you are providing us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We'll definitely be sharing this with all of our water teams who work in many other places, as well as those who work in Cuba and maybe the potential partners who are thinking about joining us. We too, I want to say from our side, being a part of Living Waters for the World, working in a network, the friendships, the family that we have across these the waters, the geographic boundaries that we set up for one another. I'm excited thinking about the next generation who's coming up behind our current water teams. Those who are maybe young adults now or their youth, their children, and thinking that they are the future. And one day they will be the ones, God willing, depending upon where we go from here, but who will also be visiting and they too will be transformed. The whole church, it's very reviving for us to come to hear the stories and to hear the changes and to see those. I remember when we were there last month, someone came to visit while we were there for worship with our partners in Placetas at the Adventist church there. And he just wanted us to know that, there had been in his family kidney issues. I think there was a child who had only one kidney, and how much it had meant to his family to know that they had access to this safe water that was not going to be hard on that, only having one kidney. When you think about medicine being in short supply, and as a parent, you just can't imagine what that's like. And it gives us courage. It gives us strength to see that together, this is something we can't do alone, but together we can accomplish a lot with God's help. And we're so very grateful for you all and all that you do. Every day I can see that water is on your hearts, it's on your minds, and you are coming alongside us and our partners in Cuba, the network there. And we're very, very grateful.
Yeah, we feel the same. We are like a big family. And we have built this family on very solid foundations trust, passion for the work we do, for the support we give to the people, trust, uh, you know, and we lean on each other and we trust each other, and that's the magic, you know. That's the blessing, you know. Unity, like a big family, and communication, which is very important.
Yeah. And I want to also say that you all teach us. You teach us better ways to be partners, better ways to do things. You have a resourcefulness that I think we all very much admire. Yosmel, you have been beside our team on so many installations, and you've taught us the use of very special Cuban Teflon that we remember to this day. And also during the pandemic, you got very creative with how to get parts and filters to provinces that were very far away when travel was a little shut down. I wonder if Moraima might talk just a little bit about how that worked. I couldn't believe this. I wouldn't have thought of it myself.
Sí, en la pandemia no se podía pasar de una provincia a otra. Estábamos aislados. ¿Y qué hacer con tanta importancia que tenía el agua purificada en esos momentos? Durante la pandemia se crearon unas especies de ambulancias o carros para personas enfermas que sí tenían pase para cruzar de una provincia a otra. Entonces nos decían, a tal hora, a tal hospital va un ómnibus con personas que regresan aquí a esta provincia. Nosotros preparamos las piezas de repuesto, íbamos donde ellos estaban, nos dábamos un abrazo ahí de lejos porque no podíamos tener contacto y mandábamos todas las piezas. Lo que fue Pinal del Río, Matanzas, muchas cosas en Santiago de Cuba y en Holguín, todas las pudimos cubrir de esa manera, usando carros oficiales, ambulancias o ómnibus que traían a personas a ver especialidades en los hospitales o cualquier situación que tuvieran, pero no nos detuvimos. Las instalaciones siguieron ofreciendo agua. Incluso las mismas en los municipios, todas las partes del municipio, de la iglesia, de todas partes se unieron para crear como un sistema protegido para coger el agua. O sea, la distancia entre dos personas en una fila era de 1 metro, había que ir con nasobuco. Se crearon, pero no cerramos. Mantuvimos todas las instalaciones funcionando.
A miracle. It's a miracle, and we're very grateful to God. I wonder if there is, you've named a lot of challenges. We've talked about a lot of successes, things that are unique to Cuba, things that are going very, very well in the midst of all of the difficulties. I wonder if you would like to share your maybe prayer for the coming 12 months. What is it that you pray is perhaps on the horizon for our work together in Cuba? A hope that you have.
Nosotros vivimos con esperanza. Eso es lo que no nos puede faltar. Nosotros ahora estamos en la esperanza de la energía limpia, la energía solar, la esperanza de los estudios bíblicos y la esperanza de continuar creciendo y manteniendo, educando a los operadores, o sea, la educación en las instalaciones es algo que no termina. Entonces siempre tenemos un motivo para volver a las instalaciones, para estar en comunicaciones con ellas, y estamos en la esperanza de crecer y que seamos tanto que nuestra agua corra purificada por todas partes.
So we need to pray for the future of Cuba, for the future of the United States. Both countries are now going through difficult times. We know the challenges of your country now. We know our challenges here in Cuba. But we believe that with hope and faith, we will be able to overcome all the difficulties that ban our work in Cuba. And of course, we have been able to overcome all these difficulties with our faith in God and with prayers that we share for one another. So let's keep praying for the future of living waters in the world. I mean, for the whole world, in all the countries that we are working and that we are making the difference for the good things that we're bringing to the people of this planet, which is purified water for our souls and for our bodies.
Nosotros le pedimos a Dios que nos dé brazos para seguir construyendo y para seguir instalando y corazón para seguir compartiendo.
Amen. May it be so. All of it. Oh, gracias. Thank you so much for being with us today. We usually close this, Doug, by asking, what else do you want to say? Is there anything else that you would like to share with all of our listeners, with us? Our ears are open, our hearts are open. Wisdom, advice, anything that you would like to share that we didn't already discuss?
So come to Cuba, our country, our churches, are welcoming you with open arms. We have a very solid network that will support you. We have amazing partners in Cuba that from day one will consider you as family, because that's what we are, a big family. Under, of course, the guidance of God. So come to Cuba, come visit us, and let's keep the good work. Let's keep the good work of bringing purified water to all God's children.
This is what we are here for, is to love and to serve together. And we feel that love. We're grateful that you two have answered that call and have been so faithful. You've been a part of Living Waters in Cuba since before day one, at day zero. And we look forward to where the water and God will be taking us in the coming years together. So we're very, very grateful to be partners with you all.
And we are also honored to be your partners in Christ. And of course, through the water, through Living Waters for the World. It's really been an honor. The last 15 years have been an opportunity to transform ourselves, to change our lives, and to grow in our faith, of course.
Thank you for being with us today, for taking time out, joining us from Cuba. I hope we can maybe have another conversation, maybe this side or when we are in Cuba. Either way, it's good to have this technology meanwhile.
Yes. We're also praying for the opportunity to visit Clean Water U next month. In September. So maybe we can have another session with water drops in Mississippi. No, in New Jersey, right? New Jersey,
yes. Oh, that would be wonderful. Thanks for being with us today. Wow. Well, Doug, I'll ask you for a bit of your take on that conversation.
I think it was great. It was wonderful to be able to hear from them. I know you and I have had personal relationships with both of them before and be able to visit them. But to be able to share that conversation and what's going on in Cuba with the wider community is pretty special. So I'm glad we got that. And it's great to hear about how the water in Cuba really changes communities. I think the effect of water in different networks is different always. Here in Yucatan in Mexico, it's a very financial thing, in the sense that some communities do have access to clean water, but very high prices. So Living Waters comes in and it allows them to actually consistently have it and helps improve their health. But like what we heard in Cuba, they have to go and get their water at the site, and that turns into a center of community. People meet up there and you wait in line and you talk to your neighbors. And so, yeah, you're getting the water, but you're getting all these added benefits as well. So I think that's a really special thing that Cuba has going on with clean water there.
That's a great thing to point out. It's like the gathering at the well, but very intergenerational, not just the women going to the well, but all people. And if people can't go get their water, a lot of our partners will take water to those who are at home. Moraima said something there at the end. We live in hope, and Yosmel said we live, by faith. And it's just such a testament. I feel like every time we're visiting with our partners and we're with in-country staff, we are a witness to this kingdom work that is getting done. And it seems to me sometimes to be a miracle, because we can talk about scarcity, we can talk about hardships, and yet listen to the abundance of resourceful people, and they're just living in whatever context it is, and they're making this work through partnership. So I want to stress the hospitality that all of our partners everywhere receive us, that welcome, that we are well loved and well cared for. There are many, many hugs and kisses, and that happen every time. And to get to go back and check in with people again and again and again. Of course, we're in touch between our visits. We've got WhatsApp and we've got email or maybe some social media, but it's wonderful to be together and to receive the gifts with those open hands, that open heart. And so I join my prayers with Yosmel and Moraima's that we will have, strong arms with which to do this work, open hearts to receive whatever it is that God has in store for us. So, I know it's been a few years since you've been down to visit Cuba, but you've visited several times. So I know you've experienced that as well.
Completely. Yeah, it's been a bit. I think 2019, we said, was the last time I was down there. So it's been a bit, but yeah, definitely had that experience. Definitely hoping to get back soon, for all those reasons you've mentioned.
Yeah.
It's a special experience to be down there.
We have a lot of new teams who are going to be working in Cuba, maybe, even this year, even next week, a team is going, and our prayers go with them and with their partners as they seek to add water to an already existing relationship. So shout out to all of our partners here in the U.S., our partners in Cuba. And I know a lot of them are tuning in because they knew we were going to be having this recorded conversation. Internet does funny things. And so does technology. So we're very, very grateful. Doesn't matter where you are, you can have those glitches. So we're glad to be able to visit with one another. I had a little laptop issue during that video, but everything was well, running great behind the scenes. So I'd love to hear from you, Doug, about this next video that we're going to watch, another video from Cuba. Tell us a bit about it. You were the videographer.
Yep. So this is a video from my last visit. And we got to sit down with the pastor from the church in Guinness. The team I traveled with in December of 2019, they did a double install, which is kind of a crazy thing. They installed at the church in Versailles, and then also we installed it at the children's hospital that we talked about in the conversation there. And that church from Minnesota has also done other installs. After that, we went around and visited a few partners. And one of their partners is this church here in Guinness. And I got an opportunity to sit down with the pastor and talk about the system there. I mean, what it means for them. And, you know, without me knowing the history, I think other people did, but I didn't know the history. I came out about the whole cholera outbreak and all those effects and what the system means to them, really. And I've always said, this is one of my favorite interviews that we've done. The way the pastor tells the story, talks about how the clean water has helped them and how it continues to help them. It really underscores the importance of the work that's being done there. So yeah, let's take a look at that.
Yeah. Thank you, Pastor Abel. That partnership there, they've been serving for over a decade. It's amazing. Thanks for that intro.
Mi nombre es Abel Mirabal Padilla y soy pastor de la Iglesia Presbiteriana Reformada Getsemaní en Guinness, Mayabeque, Cuba. Una bendición que tiene la iglesia en el mundo es saber tener visión. La iglesia no se puede conformar solamente con predicar, dar un estudio bíblico, teología. Está muy bien hacer las oraciones, es importante orar, pero también hay que tener visión y mirar las necesidades del pueblo. Y esa es la historia que tenemos con este proyecto tan hermoso de agua purificada para Guinness, en este caso en Cuba. Y es que nos percatamos, no era difícil verlo, era fácil, de la cantidad de personas en nuestro país, específicamente en esta región de Mayabeque, en Guinness, que estaban padeciendo de muchos males, de muchas enfermedades. Algunos hasta murieron por el cólera, una enfermedad bastante grave en el mundo. Y dijimos, ¿qué podemos hacer como iglesia? Además de predicar, además de orar, ¿qué podemos hacer? Y junto con los hermanos de Minneapolis y Long Island, tuvimos la dicha de tener este proyecto tan hermoso de llevar agua purificada, agua bendita, agua de Dios, agua sin pensar en dinero, sin pensar en nada que se pague, todo es gratis, para que el pueblo de Guinness sufra lo menos que pueda. Ojalá que otras iglesias tengan la visión en esta misión de poder sumar y seamos más los que ayudemos a este pueblo. Yo estaba en ese año 2013 en los Estados Unidos y escuchaba ahí las noticias. Pensaba que quizás era un poco una noticia falsificada, pero cuando llegué aquí constaté que era cierto. Habían fallecido personas y serían los hospitales llenos de personas. Y duró un promedio de cerca de un año esta situación. Aún en la actualidad todavía aparecen brotes de cólera en algunas ciudades. Los hospitales se llenaron de pacientes, de muchas personas. Primero en los policlínicos, que era el primer momento de salud en Cuba, y después los hospitales, y después llegaron a fallecer personas. Empezamos cerca del año 2013 con apenas 5 o 6 personas. No había mucha experiencia, las personas en Guinness no conocían nada del sistema, había muchas dudas, pero a medida que fuimos explicando y que fuimos llevando a ellos una cultura de un agua limpia para la vida, para la salud, entonces empezaron a interesar y empezaron a venir. Ya hoy son 300, para la gloria del Señor. Y esto es una invitación para los pueblos de América, para otros pueblos también de otras latitudes del mundo, que tengan visión y que hasta donde podamos no dejemos morir a la gente de nuestro pueblo. Prediquemos la palabra, pero también tengamos el servicio de millones de formas que se pueden hacer. Lo primero que la gente empezó, las personas empezó a formular en sus gratitudes era gracias a Dios. Algunos de ellos me llamaban la atención porque yo no los reconocía de ninguna iglesia y sin embargo decían, damos gracias a Dios. Yo me preguntaba, bueno, ¿de dónde son? Damos gracias a Dios porque ustedes tienen la visión de este proyecto. Muchas personas, muchísimas personas empezaron a manifestar de que sus dolores estomacales habían desaparecido. Totalmente. Totalmente. Otras personas decían, esta agua es mejor que la que se vende en la tienda en Cuba a moneda CUC, comparable con el dólar. Y sin embargo, este proyecto nunca tuvo fines de lucro. Y ellos pensaban, bueno, ¿y cuánto va a costar? Y los primeros que llegaban, que no sabían, cuando venían y tomaban sus pomos de agua para llevárselo y quedaban mirando y le dábamos las manos y gracias, Dios le bendiga, bienvenido. Siempre la cultura de enseñarles para qué el agua, cuál era el funcionamiento de esta agua, cómo usarla en la casa y después se quedaban esperando y cuánto cuesta, que hay que pagar. Y la respuesta cuando era tan sencilla, nada, solamente sigan viniendo. No lo podían creer. Y pensaban, bueno, si casi todo el mundo dice, todo se paga, todo cuesta. Algo que nazca así de un fruto así sencillo y que hagan personas trabajando desde las 5 de la mañana, tratando de traer el agua a este sistema, los tanques, y que todo eso sea sin costo, es que en este mundo pueda existir algo que no haya que pagar. Bueno, este es un ejemplo maravilloso de que sí. La iglesia muestra ese rostro de que no todo tiene un sentido de dinero, no todo tiene un sentido de costo, sino que hay muchas cosas que se hacen por amor y que no esperamos nada a cambio. Solamente darle gracias al Señor por el privilegio de un momento de la historia ser partícipe de esta bendición. Así que muchas personas sanaron sin pastillas, sanaron sin medicinas, y además de eso, de la cultura del agua y de saber que se puede hacer mucho más conociendo cómo tratar en la casa este líquido tan preciado y tan precioso, también es la bendición de que alguien te diga en la mañana, buenos días, Dios te bendiga, tengas un feliz día, o buenas tardes, Dios te bendiga, tenga una feliz tarde. Esas palabras, sin precio tampoco, no tienen costo. Son formidables en un mundo hoy cuando las buenas costumbres se han perdido, cuando los buenos hábitos se han perdido. Así que es un sistema que brinda agua y que brinda educación, que brinda paz y que también brinda el sentido de que Dios se sigue acordando de los pobres por medio de los siervos y siervas de Jesucristo. La preocupación de las personas que vienen aquí, que son cerca de 300 personas, es, ¿algún día esto va a parar? No queremos que esto se pare. Es necesario que esto continúe. Y siempre nuestra respuesta es, esto comenzó con amor entre hermanos de diferentes países y con la bendición de Dios y con amor y con Dios vamos a continuar por su gracia.
Come to me, who are thirsty for living water. Come to me.
Oh, I love that video. I know that makes you feel very humbly proud that you were there for that beautiful conversation with Pastor Abo there in Guinness. We've visited there many times, and to think about, as Yosmel said in his video, Pastor Abo said in this one, the work that's going on, people getting up way before dawn, staying up late at night to make sure that there is water ready to be distributed, purified water.
Our operators step up to the task. They understand the commitment they're making to this and the importance. We had a situation pretty similar here in Mexico. We have hurricanes here as well. And we had a system that after being installed, they basically kicked out all the other bottlers. No one else needed to purchase water from anywhere else. But then they understood that by doing that, they were the sole provider of clean water for that community. And if a hurricane came and if they lost power, no one has water. So they made the effort to get a generator because them, just like our operators in Cuba, understand the commitment. They're the ones that provided clean water. If they don't do it, that means that people don't have clean water. So they do what's necessary and make it happen. What a blessing.
It really is. And the possibilities, who knows? I don't think I know we didn't think 20, 25, 30 years ago that this is where we would be. And yet here we are. And so who knows where we'll be 3, 6, 9, 12 months much less 3 to 5 years from now. But may we continue to answer the call and to do this work together.
Amen.
Grateful for all of our partners. Grateful for you, Doug, and for Robert and Emily in the background. Thank you so much to Yosmel and Moraima, Pastor Abel, for joining us today. You know, if anyone listening has any questions, ideas that they'd like to share with us, you can reach out to us via our website, www.livingwatersfortheworld.org. And we're grateful that you all were with us today or catching this on a recording. We're looking forward to being with you next month for our Water Drops Live, when we'll have a team joining us to share about their journey together with their partners. So hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next month.
Sounds good. See you next month.